Our next panelist is Rosine Gouadji. Now, Rosine was born in France and raised as a Roman Catholic. She first came to the United States in 1976 to cover the Democratic Convention. She returned to her native France in '86 and met a Syrian Muslim physician who was to become her husband the following year. Several years and 2 sons later, her husband admitted to her that he was a member of the Muslim Brotherhood. She also found out that her brother-in-law, her husband's brother, was active in Al-Qaeda and was training for jihad. Rosine's husband encouraged their 2 young sons to be good Muslims and told them he would be very happy if they martyred themselves for the sake of Allah. Right now she's involved in a very bitter custody battle with her ex-husband for the custody of their youngest child, who's 15, and she is going to be writing a book about her experiences. Rosine Gouadji.
As Janice told you, I came from the University of Dijon to report on the Democratic Convention and my first encounter with Mr. Jimmy Carter. Was something like, I did not know if I was in politics or I was in Mardi Gras. It was my first hamburger, my first French fries with Coca-Cola. And after a few other assignments with a French radio, I decided to go into serious business. I found what the French call serious business, food and wine. And I worked until the auspice of Food and Wine from France, which is sponsored by the French government to try to develop some market with the American. And on my way back to France, when my mother was in a diabetic coma, I met what we call, and I'm talking to the woman here, Mr. Perfect. He was perfect. He was good looking. He was sportive. No drinking, no smoking, no women. An outstanding doctor, very smart. A gift from heaven. And I did marry him. Came to New York. And I had my son. And in 1992, he decided to move to Memphis, where I had my second son. He was never home. I did not say anything because he was a very hard-working doctor. And in 1993, we received a letter from his brother, who was at that time in Canada on a religious visa. The letter was written in Arabic. I did not understand, so when my husband came home and read that letter, his face changed, and his face changed forever. I did not recognize the man I married. He told me his brother was going to jihad with a few friends. I think it was 17 of them at that time. And I said, what is jihad? He said, jihad is to be trained for the military, and you have to give your blood for Islam. I said, where is that jihad stuff going on? He said, in Afghanistan. I said, so what's the problem? I said, it's a big problem. I have to see my brother. And he took a flight at that time. We didn't have that much money, but he took a flight right away to be going to Canada to speak with his brother and the 17 others that were going to training camps. From 1993 to 1996, we did not hear too much from the brother. But I noticed that something was wrong in that letter, and I had another Syrian doctor translate that letter. The Syrian doctor looked at me and he said, Rosine, there is something wrong with that. I need to speak with your husband. Those kind of people are dangerous. I said, what do you mean, dangerous? He said, well, they are speaking about Christianity and you and your son, and this is no good. We need to speak with him. So I kept the letter when he was in Canada, and I sent that letter to be translated in Lyon, where there was an Egyptian woman that was dying from cancer. And she said, if I was that woman, I would take my 2 sons now, and I would leave. But I did not pay too much attention to that at that time, and I stayed until 1996 when the brother came back from jihad. And he came to the United States, and I told my husband, I said, I don't really want him in our house because he put threat on my children and I. He said, well, you don't have a choice. It's you or him. So my brother-in-law came in, and he was very nice. I knew he was a very radical Islamist guy. And I cook and everything. And one day at 11 o'clock at night, he asked me to watch the news. And he was visibly expecting something. That was June of 1996. He said, put the news on for me. Right. Nothing happened. He went back to sleep, visibly disturbed. 3 o'clock in the morning, the phone rang. It was a phone call from Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, a man very rude, said, I need to speak with Issam right now. I said, sir, well, I don't care, give him right now. Gave the phone, and it lasted for around half an hour. Fine. The next day I told him, I said, well, your friend over there in Saudi Arabia is not very well educated. There is something wrong there. He said, well, it's going to be my brother-in-law. I said, good luck. And the same day, he asked me again to watch the news at 11 o'clock. And I was cooking, and in pay attention, all of a sudden, breaking news, the Khobar Tower exploded. And he jumped out of his seat, and he said, we got them. And I look at the TV more carefully, and there was all that damage, and the blood running, and people running. I said, what do you mean we got them? The American? You got the American? What is it? I said, the American, they think they are going to rule the world. They don't know what it is to have on their own soil a war, but pretty soon they will. And I looked at those towers and I said, oh my God, that's it. That guy is into something. Next day, my husband called me and he said I had to drive him to the airport. He was going to Florida. Drive the guy, and I helped him with his luggage. When I took his luggage, the only luggage he had, I thought it was closed. The luggage opened, it was not closed properly. And get out hundreds of audio tape with a picture of a man that I recognized later by being Osama bin Laden. And I told him, I said, what is this? Where are your clothes? He said, oh, this is religious tape. I have to take those religious tape to Florida. And he went to Florida, and he stayed in Florida, and he started working. And I started knowing, I said, oh, there is something, I have to be careful. I'm going to start watching. 1997 to 1998, I make believe that I was an idiot on the computer. I did not know how to use the computer. But, you know, I educate myself, and I was retrieving some emails that were very, very disturbing. Because in 1997 and 1998, you did not have any Arabic on the computer. Everything was in English. And I could intercept emails that was really saying that this country was under a big danger, and they were going not only to annihilate all the Jews, but to attack the United States of America. 1990, when I went to France, I did not know what to do. I went to see a priest, and I told that priest what's going to happen. He talked to a special agent that I knew in Switzerland, and that agent told him, tell her not to go to any FBI agent because you never know that what she can find. Just tell her to go to a priest in America. That's what I did. I went to see a priest because, as you can tell, I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. And I went to see that priest, and I told him, I said, you know, there is something going on. It's called jihad, and they're going to attack this country. What can we do? I need to speak to somebody that we can trust. In